Well, good morning, everyone. I am Nicole Majeski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation, and it is my absolute honor to be able to welcome you all here today for the bill signing of 6 new traffic safety laws. So when we gathered at the Smyrna Rest area at the Memorial Garden back in March to announce the traffic safety package, we talked about the crisis that we're seeing on our roadways with the increased number of roadway fatalities and serious injury crashes. Last year was one of the record years that we've had for fatalities, and at the time when we made the announcement in March, we had seen 32 fatalities on our road. Today that number is 75. I cannot thank the governor and the members of the General Assembly enough for supporting these bills and for signing them into law today. This legislation, this package of legislation, along with the investments that we are making at DelDOT, the work that DSP and law enforcement is doing throughout our state and the Office of Highway Safety is going to save lives. And I cannot thank you enough for all of your support in this. Thank you. I have an amazing team at DelDOT. I am very fortunate. And I want to specifically recognize a few people that are here and some that could not be here, but were vital in the creation of this package of legislation. So, of course, Shantae Hastings, who's behind me, our deputy and chief engineer. Mark Lutz, Peter Haig, and Scott Niter, they were instrumental in crafting the legislation and helping field all the questions and getting us to the point where we could get them passed. I also want to give a huge shout out to Sergeant Ripple from DSP and to Greg Patterson, who helped shepherd us through this. We're with us every step of the way and are going to be honorary members of our DelDOT family from this point on, I'm going to say. And then another special group that I want to recognize that doesn't get a lot of recognition but should get all the praise. Our traffic safety officers. Their responsibility is very, very large, but one of the roles that they have is to respond to every fatal accident that occurs on our roads. They have seen just unimaginable horrors on our roadways. I really don't know how they do what they do every day, but I'm grateful that they do it. Jerry Najiski is here with us today. He's one of those traffic safety officers, but we owe them a debt of gratitude for that. So again, I cannot thank you enough for the support of this legislation. Together, we are going to save lives. And it is my honor to be able to welcome to the podium the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Kim Chandler.
Good morning. Good morning. On behalf of Secretary McQueen, DSP Colonel Zebley, and our new Office of Highway Safety Director, Sharon Bryson, and the Highway Safety team, I say thank you to our governor, our partners at DelDOT, the safety advocates, and our legislators who joined forces with us earlier this year and made a commitment to make our roadways safer. Today, we proudly stand together, knowing that when we work together, great things happen and much can be accomplished. Making our roadways safer for all remains our top priority. Far too many have been killed or severely injured in crashes. Knowing that many of these crashes are preventable is our motivation to do more while balancing our enforcement efforts with educating the public about safe driving habits and behaviors. This year, with the support of our partners, DSP will stand up a new statewide traffic education and enforcement unit. This unit will conduct traffic enforcement targeting extremely dangerous driving behaviors, the kinds of things that we see each and every day: aggressive driving, road rage, speeding, impaired driving, just to name a few. Getting additional troopers on board and in the right locations will make a difference. Often, just the additional presence of a marked police vehicle will slow traffic. Thank you to our partners and our governor for supporting this initiative and the other traffic safety legislation. With that, I will introduce our governor, the Honorable John Carney. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Majeski. Deputy Secretary Chandler, I want to second your thanks to all the folks that have made this day possible. I remember well the beautiful morning 4 months ago at the Smyrna rest stop where we announced this package with many of the legislators who are standing behind me with us. And I want to really thank the members of the General Assembly for delivering this package on today. June 30th, this is a great way to start June 30th. Our number one responsibility as elected officials, as governor and as members of the General Assembly and the Senate and the House is to keep our community safe. We've got a real highway safety problem up there. If you haven't noticed, just go out and drive on any of the roads up and down our state. I took a trip last weekend where I drove by myself. I'm not so used to it anymore. All the way up to New Hampshire for a Dartmouth football reunion. And I got to tell you, I wasn't very far from the Delaware border where I was going a little bit over the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, and people were whizzing by me going 80 and 90 miles an hour. It was scary. And I know that the same is true here in our state. So this package comes at a really important time as the fatalities on our state highways have hit all-time highs, sadly. In each of those fatalities, you've got an individual with family members, with friends, with children, in so many ways that it can hit anybody. And it's mostly, as was pointed out, preventable. Distracted driving, not wearing seatbelts, speeding is just a big problem. So I just want to thank all the legislators. We've gotten some bills passed that, frankly, when we announced them, Danny Short, I wasn't sure we were going to be able to get there. We've been trying for 20 or 30 years to get a helmet bill and a step forward. And with your help and help with Senator Sokola in the Senate, we've been able to do that as part of this package. And so I'm going to sit down and start signing these, starting with HB 120, which goes to the issue of speeding and reckless driving. And as I sit, I'm going to call on the legislators if they'd like to say something. Senator Hoffner, you were with us there in Smyrna. It's part of your district. Route 1 runs right through your district, and we know that's a main source of some of the speeding going on. So we'll do 120 first and, with Senator Hoffner and then Representative Cook, and then we'll move down the list. I'll talk to each of you. If you're ready to step forward, please do. Oh, there are two people that I need to thank. One is Greg Patterson. We had some interesting moments as I presented the challenge to Greg, particularly of the motorcycle helmet bill. We had a strong advocate who knows the community. And one of the biggest lists, which isn't on my desk today, the open container bill, which is something that we've been trying to do in Delaware since I was a staff person for then Governor Carper. But Greg, working with our DSTP advocates, were just superb in getting this done. And Greg, I want to personally thank you for that. I give Greg all the hard things that we have to do. So we've got a few of those. And Sergeant Ripple, I've heard of your great work as well. I know of the great work of the Delaware State Police every day out on our highways and byways, and we certainly thank them. So on HB 120, the first one up, Senator Hoffner.
Hi, thank you. Good morning. This bill did not make me very popular with my family and friends, but as we moved along the process, they understood that 90 miles an hour is certain death if you get into an accident, and this is something that we had to do. I want to thank Representative Cook for working with me and my colleagues in the Senate, and I really think we came up with a great bill that everyone's going to be happy, and we're going to make sure everyone gets home at night.
One of the added benefits to this, you know that I'm a crusader against litter. One of the penalties is a public service sentence, which means people will go out and help me pick up litter on the highways and byways across our state. Happy to join you. Representative Cook, if you'd like to say something, I'm going to sign HB 120.
Well, everybody knows in my district, I got a little bit of all the highways. 495, very dangerous. Speed kills. But the thing about it is, we got to make it safe. And I think for our children and for the constituents of the state of Delaware, that's number one on the list. And I'm thanking the governor, I'm thanking Nicole Majeski, secretary, and all the Del Dot workers. There's some people in the back that are not here that do a lot of things. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to both sides, Senate and the House, of getting this done. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cook. Next up is Senate Bill 86, sponsored by Senator Sokola, and Representative Short in the House. Senator Sokola, would you like to say a word too?
Yeah, thank you, Governor. This is an important bill. I can remember when we did the bicycle helmet bill. Former Representative Bill Oberle worked on that for over a decade before we got it signed. And you know, it was an important bill to me, and we know that we make a difference from data from other states that there's a statistically significant difference in injuries and fatalities when children are wearing helmets. Same thing with when adults are wearing helmets. And I'm really happy to be here to see this signed today, because I would have bet my house back then we would never do a motorcycle helmet bill, because there were some people who in fact, one person who probably should be here today is Gary Simpson, who used to introduce the bill on a regular basis, but it never went very far. So, Danny?
Thank you, Senator Scola.
Well, when Greg called me before the governor says we're going to put forth a helmet bill, I'm like, for what? But you might not know my background. You know, my dad was a motor officer for the Delaware State Police back in the day. My dad was the first dealer of the Harley-Davidson business in Seaford, and I raced motorcycles competitively for 4 years on the East Coast. But you know what? We were geared up, dressed up in leather, big boots, steel toes, and a nice helmet. A nice helmet. So at the end of the day, the track was probably a lot more civil than what is going on the highway today. And guess what? Going Route 13 and Route 1 is not a competitive sport. So when we talked about this, we have the stats that say the inception of a guy or gal getting their endorsement to ride a motorcycle are the most vulnerable. And those statistics are pretty high. And to fall off a motorcycle is a big deal. I've been very fortunate never to have any major injury. So I think this is a great step in the right direction. And I agree with the other folks. Hopefully this will save lives as well. So I'm happy to support that. We had a little bit of angst in our Motorcycle Rider Advisory Education Committee, but they all came together, and at the end of the day, we have a good bill. Governor, I'm happy to support it and appreciate all your hard work and Greg's work and the Senator's work, too. Thank you.
Well, to both of you, particularly for your role in that advisory committee, I know how hard it probably was. That's an organization or a group that's not so much supportive of this. But this, in my view, is a way to improve on that over the years as people get used to wearing a helmet right from the start. And so to everyone who helped make this happen, thank you very much. And it's now my privilege to sign Senate Bill 86, which is Delaware's first motorcycle helmet bill. Next up is HB 92, which is referred to as the Move Over Bill, so moving over for public safety. We all know that Representative Carson is a big supporter of first responders, and this is a bill that goes right to that commitment.
Thank you, Governor. And, you know, things start at the top, so I want to thank you for appointing the great secretary we have at Del Dot. Some of the best appointments I've ever seen, and it's carried right down through Del Dot and how important they work 24/7 for us. We started these series of move over bills quite a while ago. I think Ruth Ann Minter was actually governor when I put the first one in. Thurman Adams called me in one day to explain it to him, and we've kept moving along on different move over bills. And
Who is Lieutenant Governor when we're there?
that's a good question. He didn't call me in the office about it. But it's just a great thing on the highway now, and I saw it this morning coming down. Somebody was disabled on the side of the road, and a tractor trailer was in front of me. They moved over, and everybody just kind of slid over and then went back where they belong. So it's just a great thing, and many thanks to all the people who made this happen.
And thanks to the folks, do we have AAA folks here? They were very supportive of that in the back. Thank you to the AAA folks for all of that. So this is House Bill 92, and again, my privilege to finish this great work. There we go, House Bill 92. Nothing's more important than our children and their safety in our vehicles. We have a piece of legislation. We've required child safety seats for a long time here in Delaware, and this is an improvement on that law. Senator Evans-Gay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And much like raising a child, safely securing a child also takes a village. So I really want to thank Nemours is here, I believe, and for your work.
Megan is here, yes, Megan.
Yes, Megan and Kristen. Thank you for bringing the data to the table, for educating the General Assembly, and for showing us that this was a no-brainer and the right way to go. I also want to greatly thank the Office of Highway Safety and the child restraint specialists over here. Not just for the work here, but for the work you do every day, helping parents and caregivers ensure that they can safely transport their kids. This bill does two things. One is that it updates the standards, which we need to do, but the other is that it puts an emphasis on education, and that's where we want to be as a state, making sure that parents and caregivers have all the information and tools they need to keep kids safe. So thank you so much, and because my kids brought baby Gemma, baby doll Gemma, she's here to show you today, just proper restraint. They would be mad at me if they found out when they were 18 that I never said that. So thank you so much, Governor. And last thing would be, another no-brainer is to do great work with DelDOT. No one in the administration is more responsive to the needs of our constituents on a daily basis, and it is my pleasure to help them meet their goals just as they always help us meet ours.
Great, Representative Griffin.
Thank you so much. Proud to be the House Prime on this bill. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a PSA, which is if anybody out there listening needs a car safety seat or wants to make sure that their car safety seat is secure, please call our offices and we'll get you in the right hands for that. I just remember that back in the day when I was 3, 4, 5, 6, bouncing around at the back of my parents' station wagon with tons of friends, not secured, and by the grace of God, we're still here. But we learn a lot over the years, and this is certainly one of those bills that will help protect so many children and make sure that they're safe on the roadways. Very
good. And with that, we're going to sign Senate Bill number 68. There we go. I was remiss in not mentioning Senator Hansen and Senator Lockman on the move over bill. If you'd like to say something, feel free. I was like, tee up, House Bill 94. You're good? Very good. Next up is another important one. The sponsor is, actually the main sponsor is here, Representative Osinski, and this is House Substitute number 1 for House Bill 94, speed cameras for speed enforcement.
Thank you, Governor. This legislation is enabling legislation for a 5-year pilot program that allows DelDOT to implement speed cameras again after the great success they had on the Restore the Corridor pilot program, where they saw a reduction in accidents at 46%. And it's something that's very much needed. Many know about the horrific accident in Maryland in a construction zone that killed 6 construction workers. So this is important legislation. It also enables local law enforcement to utilize these in residential districts. And of course that came from me. As many of my colleagues know, it's one of the biggest complaints we hear at community meetings about speeding within residential districts. So it also incorporates law enforcement's discretion to use speed cameras in residential districts once a speed study is performed to justify the need. So I'm very excited about this. I want to thank DelDOT. Mark Lutz, who's not here, was very much useful in this process, Greg, and my Senate Prime, Senator Spiros Montalbán, for helping me get this through. So thank you.
A very important pilot program, again, one that comes from the bottom up, if you will, the community up. We saw tremendous success. We had lots of accidents at the beginning of the construction in the corridor, and then when the cameras were put in place, those went down. I used to go through there every day, so I know how dangerous it was. So this, again, is House Substitute 1 for House Bill 94, speed camera enforcement. Representative Osinski and Senator Matavinos. There we go. Okay, last but not least is Senate Bill number 89, which we refer to as green lights on snowplows. This is an issue to bring attention to snowplows out in the snow. Sadly, one of my best friends growing up in Claymont, he had a sister who was out jogging in a snowstorm and was hit by a snowplow many years ago. And so really something that you might not think is important, but certainly is in the rare cases that it happens. Representative Carson, I know Senator Matsavinos was the main sponsor. Anything to say from your perspective on this as well?
Well, thank you, Governor. I just once again want to thank DelDOT for their leadership on this. It is a lonely time when you're out in a snowplow in the middle of the night, especially out in the country, and there's not much traffic out, but you have to be so alert because you don't know who's going to dart out because other people are thinking, oh, there's nobody out here. So leading the way with safety, and DelDOT with other Department of Transportation across the country found that by putting these green flashing lights on snowplows enhances their visibility. So it's just another safety factor, and DelDOT's always the ones that want to be safe and help our residents. So many thanks to them again for bringing this to us. Thank you.
Can I add another thing about Rep. Carson? He knows because how long did you work for DelDOT, sir?
Over 30 years.
All right, I jumped the gun and signed that one before we were done. So this is Senate Bill number 89. Representative Carson, and I'm going to hand out some of these bills so that we can all hold them all up. Senate Bill, that must be yours. 92 was, who was 92? 120 was Kira. There. And 92 was?
Myself and Senator.
There we go. Here we go. All right, there you go. 6 bills. House Bill 120, Senate Bill 86, HB 92, Senate Bill 68, House Substitute 1 for HB 94, and Senate Bill 89. The bottom line is these bills will save lives in Delaware. Thank you all.